how often should we be having sex? And there is actually quite a bit of scientific published research on this, and it might really change how you think about sexual frequency and the data that reveals like what's actually happening in bedrooms across the world.
Hi there, you're listening to the Kingdom Sexuality podcast. We're Alana, Kyle, and Tira, friends who have a heart for intimacy and long to uncover God's truth and design for sexual freedom within marriage. If you enjoy listening to our episodes or like our content over on Instagram, would you consider leaving a review or subscribing? It really helps. Welcome here.
All right, guys, it's time for another episode of the Kingdom Sexuality podcast. I'm Kyle, joined by my beautiful co-hosts, Alana and Tira. Special welcome to all of our patrons who are listening. Thank you guys for your support. If you guys are unfamiliar with Patreon, it is a way where listeners like you can support shows like ours. And over there, you guys get freebies, discounts, you get the hump day positions. Recently, we put out a Starbucks card for all of our patrons where they could just go get Starbucks on us. So there's all sorts of stuff over there that we are doing to make it worth your while and make it worth your $5 a month. So thank you to all of our patrons over there. Today, the verse is Ecclesiastes 3:1. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. All right. How often do you guys think that married couples are having sex? And I'm going to tease this now because we polled you guys on Instagram and asked you guys, how often are you having it? How long have you gone without it? Are you satisfied with your current frequency? And we got a lot of responses. Like we're talking over 10,000 responses. So the data is going to be pretty good. And so we'll give that to you guys later in the episode. So stick around for that if you want to know how you kind of match up with everyone else. Not that it's competition, because we're going to get to that in this episode. But ultimately, this comes down to this idea of, are we normal, right? Are we doing it enough? Are we doing it too much? Is everyone else having more sex than us? Are they having better sex than us? And it all has this root of this idea of, am I normal? Because we want to fit in and we want to be in the normal category. So today we're tackling this question, how often should we be having sex? And there is actually quite a bit of scientific published research on this, and it might really change how you think about sexual frequency and the data that reveals like what's actually happening in bedrooms across the world. And most importantly, hopefully we free you up from this idea that it matters what other people are doing or how often they're doing it, right? Because the classic quote, comparison is the thief of joy, rings true again. So the verse that was chosen for today, or the passage that was two verses merged together, reminds us that marriage has seasons, right? Your frequency is going to change. It is not always going to stay the same. And anyone who has been married more than a month knows that.
Yep.
Because you newlyweds who are married, you might be on day 20 in a row or whatever it is. But frequency is going to change. Okay, so what does the research actually say? So the facts are, according to the most recent data, these studies were done in 2016 to 18. We'll get to some more recent stuff in a minute, but here is what it concluded. 58, and this is a couple research studies kind of merged together into a couple of conclusions. So 58 to 61% of married couples have sex weekly or more. 32 to 35% of married couples have sex 1 to 3 times per month. And about 5 to 7% have sex once or twice a year or not at all. So twice a year or less. So that means,
wow.
Go ahead.
I feel like those stats are like, you're either having sex weekly or more, and then it jumps to just 1 to 3 times per month. Like, what if it's? Well, I guess that would.
Yeah, 1 to 3 times per month. Like 4 times per month would be weekly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, that makes sense. To me, I was like, oh, it feels like there's a gap in there. Like what if it's
Right.
like 5 times a month? Well, then it would be you're having sex weekly.
Or more.
Unless,
Yeah.
unless you're having like sex 5 times 1 week and then you don't have sex for the rest
Right.
of the month.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So, yep, never mind. Keep going. Yep.
So ultimately, this means that roughly 6 out of 10 married couples are having sex at least once a week, but 4 out of 10 are not, which is interesting because if you are on either side of that, you're pretty close to normal, right? You're pretty close to 5 out of 10 couples.
Yep.
So whatever you are doing is probably normal. However, hopefully you don't find yourself in this next section because the research also shows that there is a declining trend of sexual frequency. So the Institute for Family Studies did a study in 2024 that showed only 37% of married couples reported having sex weekly, down from almost 50% in 2010. Wow. So this sex recession is real. It's affecting marriages of all demographics. Whether you have kids, you don't have kids, you're in your 20s, your 50s, this kind of declining trend rang true across all demographics.
I've actually heard this stat a few times in different podcasts and in my fertility things that I'm reading. It's not just in married couples either. It's actually in general, Americans are having less sex, like by a big amount.
On college campuses
like,
too.
Yeah, I've heard that actually. Yeah,
like everywhere. Just
and I think a lot of it is smartphones.
Yeah.
Right? People would rather stay in their dorm at college and scroll their phone than go out and get drunk and have sex. Not that. Now, obviously, we're not saying go get drunk and have sex if you're a college kid listening. Obviously, we're not saying that. But it shows the grip that smartphones are having on people's lives and their minds.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's a really famous study. I promise I'll shut up about the research soon. But
this is good. This is why we chose you for this
okay,
episode.
Good.
It was like, we get a Kyle Stat episode.
There we go. So there's a study done in 2015, and everyone kind of, it's kind of like a landmark study. So the Society for Personality and Social Psychology found that couples who have sex once a week report the highest levels of relationship satisfaction. But, and this is crucial, more frequent sex beyond once weekly did not increase happiness. It just plateaued. So if you're having sex once a week, research suggests you are hitting the sweet spot for marital satisfaction.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Now, another but, that doesn't mean that if you're having sex 2, 3, 4 times a week, you can't be happier. It's just saying that like the trend was it didn't increase your overall marital satisfaction.
Yeah.
Also doesn't mean that it can't.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that to make couples go have more sex to see if they're the anomaly. I'm just saying that if you are having more sex than once a week, don't stop all of a sudden because, we're not at the sweet spot of once a week. No. If 2, 3, 4 times a week is working for you guys, stay right there.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So what about daily sex? And some of you just like your mind exploded just at the thought of that. But yes, some couples do it daily. Only about 5% of married couples have sex 4 or more times per week. So daily sex is not the norm. That's okay. If you're not there, you're normal if you're not there.
Yeah.
Okay, what about age? So sexual frequency, surprisingly, does not change with age as much as you'd think. So one study found that ages 18 to 24 had sex about 37 to 52% are having it weekly or more in that age range. So again, these are multiple studies kind of coming together and it's taking all of their averages. So 18 to 24, 37 to 52% of those people are having sex weekly or more. 25 to 34, it's about 50 to 54%. And then 35 to 44 is about 50 to 53%. So frequency remains pretty stable, even as the decades go on, with very modest declines, with obviously the biggest gap being in the younger couples.
We should have longer ages than 44.
I was going to say, what about the older people?
We're missing half of our...
Yeah. Sorry to the 45 plus crowd.
Yeah. Because I'd be curious, like
Yeah.
throughout menopause and
Yeah, that's a
and
good
post.
question.
Okay. Well,
More for you to add in your menopause episode there, Tira.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Well, we'll put that in there for sure. We haven't forgotten about you.
No.
You matter if you're older than 44.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being
absolutely. Yes. Okay, another study. 2015 study found that sexual frequency isn't as important to well-being as we previously thought. What matters more is sexual satisfaction and relationship satisfaction, which is not shocking.
Yeah.
You can have sex 3 times a week and be miserable, or you can have sex twice a month and be deeply satisfied. Frequency is just, it's one part of this big puzzle of marriage and intimacy. Another study. Researchers followed 207 newly married couples for 4 to 5 years, tracking their marital satisfaction, sexual satisfaction, and frequency over time. Here are their conclusions. All 3 variables naturally declined over time in early marriage. Sexual satisfaction predicted changes in marital satisfaction. Marital satisfaction predicted changes in sexual satisfaction. But here's the key. These relationships existed independent of frequency.
So what does that mean?
So, in other words, it's not how often you're having sex that matters most. It's whether you're satisfied with your sexual relationship and your marriage overall. Frequency is a symptom, not the cause. So having more sex is not going to fix your marriage. Having better sex is going to be more important than having more frequent sex. And having a satisfied marriage, this study showed, will lead to sexual satisfaction, and sexual satisfaction will lead to a more satisfied marriage. So showing the relationships between the two independent of frequency. Frequency did not affect sexual satisfaction, and frequency of sex did not affect marital satisfaction. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So essentially,
Great.
a good sex life equals a good, like, fulfilled marriage, and both a fulfilled marriage equals a good sex life, and frequency had nothing to do with it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Good conclusion. Or good summary.
Yeah. So, yeah, the factors that matter more than frequency. So, communication about sexual needs and desires. So, yeah, communication. Emotional intimacy outside of the bedroom, right? That makes sense. The more you know your spouse and are connected, that's going to be more important than your frequency. Physical affection that doesn't always lead to sex. Yep. Ability to navigate mismatched libidos with grace, and freedom from shame and guilt about your sex life.
Those are all huge.
Yeah.
Because frequency, honestly, I mean, maybe this is silly for me to say. I feel like it doesn't matter. Right? Like,
No. And it
doesn't really matter how often everyone else is having sex.
Right?
Well, I
it
think
almost
it's more...
seems... Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's not necessarily a frequency doesn't matter. It's just the amount of frequency doesn't matter. If that... like...
Okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Because, yeah, you're... Yeah, I might take a moment to formulate this full thought here.
I would say frequency matters in the negative, but not in the positive.
Well, if you both are happy with your frequency and it's working for your marriage, it doesn't really matter how often you're having sex, as long as you guys are both feeling connected and satisfied.
But does frequency matter if you're not feeling satisfied?
Well, if frequency is the issue, then I guess yes.
Yeah,
But
like if
maybe
you're not
that's
having sex, obviously frequency is part of it, but there's more to it than just we need to do it more. Like there's a reason you're not doing it at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the Bible. The best research of all time.
More research. The Bible.
All right, back to 1 Corinthians 7. The husband should fulfill his marital duty to his wife, and likewise the wife to her husband. The wife does not have authority over her own body, but yields it to her husband. In the same way, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but yields it to his wife. Do not deprive each other except by mutual consent for a time, so that you may devote yourselves to prayer, then come together again. So, we're not going to debate this verse because it's been debated a bajillion times, but the idea is the Bible talks about sex being having some level of frequency to it, right? Even after devoting yourselves to prayer, it then says, then come together again. Sex should be a part of marriage. It should be a frequent part of marriage to the fulfillment and enjoyment of both spouses.
Yeah.
Fair?
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
Alana, do you remember, I think it's Julie Slattery, she has that like list of like all the things that sex is, and like one of them is frequent. Is that right? Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I'll keep talking. You can try and find it if you're able to. She has a really good line about frequency in sex. I just forget what it is. Yeah, so we'll quickly go over this passage a little bit, I guess. So sexual intimacy is a mutual responsibility. There should be some amount of consistency. There are legitimate reasons to abstain from sex, obviously.
Yeah.
Both partners must agree. There should be communication about consent. And then this return, right? Abstinence should be temporary, not permanent. And then let's just clarify what this passage does not say. It doesn't give a specific number, right? It does not say thou shalt have sex twice per week.
Yeah.
It doesn't say one spouse can demand sex whenever they want. It doesn't ignore the reality of exhaustion, illness, stress, postpartum, all those other things. And it doesn't create this like legalistic checklist of things that you must do.
Yeah.
Right? The heart behind this is God designing sex in a way that protects both spouses from frustration, from temptation, but also acknowledging that there are seasons and there are circumstances that will require grace and flexibility. The principle is regular, fulfilling intimacy, not like a rigid frequency.
Yeah.
Right? And there are going to be seasons where you're going to want to increase it, right? Song of Solomon, like read Song of Solomon. You think those people are just wanting each other like once a month? The way it reads to me, it's like they can't stop. So there are going to be seasons where that's going to be you.
Yeah. And I think it's also worth noting too here, again, that when we talk about intimacy, we're talking about physical intimacy, not just penis and vagina sex. It's sex is the whole picture. And so, in different seasons, it's that sex is going to look different in different times. It doesn't mean penis and vagina sex is the only sex that they're talking about here. It isn't. It's the whole gamut of foreplay and together and feeling sexually satisfied, however that looks like in your marriage.
I like on Julie Slattery's like Authentic Intimacy website, they have like a blog post. It's like, help, how much sex is normal for married couples? Well, it doesn't talk about what you were looking for there, Kyle. It has a great thought about, instead of asking like what's normal, try asking what's healthy for our marriage.
Oh yeah, that's good.
And so it's not focusing on what everyone else is doing, but what's good for you and your spouse. Thinking about like, what kind of sex are you having? Like if you're having duty sex 3 times a week, yeah, you're having sex, but it might be healthier for you to be having sex once a week where you can actually bond and be intimate together than just the sex itself. Because like you just said here, it's not the sex itself that's intimacy, but it's something that can be used to build intimacy. So I thought that was a really great way to reframe it. How often, comfortably and willingly, can you both engage in sex together?
Which is a great segue into our next section about what to do when you guys can't agree on frequency.
It's probably one of the biggest things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say every couple can go or has been through this at some point or is in it right now. So you've got mismatched drives, right? We've done episodes on this. We've talked about responsive desire versus spontaneous desire. But what do you do when you want it more, you want it less? So I think first thing you need to do is you need to acknowledge that this actually exists, that you guys are not the same. You do not want it the same. You are not the same person. One of you has a higher drive. One of you has a lower drive. Just this whole idea is that you're different and neither of you are wrong. And then, of course, it comes down to compromise, right? We've talked about this before on the podcast, but there is going to be a middle ground that is probably neither of your ideal or your preference. Is that fair? Yeah.
Yeah.
So if one of you wants it 5 times a week and one of you wants it 5 times a month, there is going to end up being some sort of middle ground.
And also like talk about what that actually your next point talks about this. Talk about what that sexual encounter looks like. Like kind of like what I mentioned before. It's not just PIV sex. It could be a whole different there's so many options about what intimacy can look like. And
Yeah.
and so maybe one of the sessions in the week is oral or a hand job, where it isn't PIV. But one thing that we should say too, I think before maybe even when you plan this kind of stuff out, is pray about it too.
Yeah.
Right? Like surrender this all to God and say like, hey, we're really struggling here. Help our hearts to be one and help us to compromise for each other and bring us together in a way that we can both feel fulfilled and like we're serving one another and also being fulfilled ourselves too.
Yeah. And just to build on that, this is where community is so important, right? If you have godly friends, women with women, men with men, like feel free to ask them, hey, you guys ever been through this? What did you guys do? How did you guys compromise? What did it look like in your marriage? Actually, just last night, our church did a sermon on sex this week, and last night was our community group, and that's what we were talking about. So we split the group into guys and girls, and we went and we had all these conversations, and it was great. So community is so important when it comes to stuff like this, and I cannot emphasize that enough. Our community has been amazing for our marriage, and I wish and I hope and I pray that all of you can find community like that. Okay, scheduling. We've done an episode on scheduling versus spontaneous, but if things are not working the way that they are right now, don't write off scheduling. At least give it a shot, right? Put it on the calendar.
Yeah.
Put it in your phones. Put it wherever you need to put it so that you know it's coming up, so that you can prioritize it. If one of you needs to mentally prepare, you can mentally prepare for it. And I mean, the thing I like about scheduling sex is it does create this anticipation, right? There is a build up towards it. And there are lots of things you guys can do to increase that build up, right? You can flirt throughout the day, you can text, you can picture, you can whatever you need to do. So the anticipation can really help. But also when it comes to scheduling sex, you need to know that there's still flexibility.
Yeah.
Right? It's not on the calendar and it's stuck there and it absolutely has to happen that night.
Right.
If something happens, like you need to be flexible, you need to be gracious.
Yeah. And this doesn't mean you have to plan like the whole month out. It can just be like on Sunday night, hey, what night would be a good night for intimacy this week? Let's pick one. That can be scheduled sex.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to say, and Alana, I know you've talked about this before, but if there is zero desire or you're really turned off by the idea of sex, like whoever that is, husband or wife, I think that is worth exploring at a deeper level.
Yeah.
You shouldn't never want sex. Josh Spurlock, in our episode that we did with him, he says, if you're not desiring sex with some amount of frequency, something is wrong. And that something that is wrong can 99.9% of the times be fixed with sex therapy. And that is exactly why he built his practice the way he did, because he wants to help those people get out of I never want it to I love it. So if that is you and you don't like that, or if that is your spouse, consider going to some sex therapy on your own or together or whatever that looks like. And for the men, if you find yourself like that, and the women too, but don't forget the physiological aspect of sex, right? Like our hormones need to be in balance to want sex. And we probably need to get good sleep, like we've talked about in our sex and stress episode. We probably need to have a proper diet. Like all these things, taking care of your body, like the Bible says, can contribute to a healthier, more frequent sex life.
Probably even depending where you're at in your cycle. Like you're going to want to have sex more when you're ovulating or whatever than when you're not. So I think even using that to your advantage and
that's where scheduling is helpful.
Yeah.
Because then you can be like the weeks that you're not, you can be like, okay, maybe a little less frequent on these weeks, but on ovulatory week, maybe more than we normally do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, why don't you girls give us 5 practical steps?
Alrighty. I'll start us off with having a conversation. How do you feel about our sexual frequency, and are you satisfied? Asking your spouse, having that conversation together. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you feel, like how happy are you with the amount we're having sex right now? Do you want to have it more? Do you want to have it less? I think that...
And
Oh,
sorry,
go ahead.
when you ask that question, you have to be prepared that both answers are valid,
Yeah.
and don't be upset by the answer that you get.
Yeah.
I mean, you might be upset, but
Mhm.
like your spouse's answer is 100% valid and you can't knock them for it.
Yeah. Especially since you were the one who asked.
Exactly.
Yeah. Remove shame from the discussion. So this, just like you said, shouldn't be right or wrong. It's about you guys connecting and working as a team to figure out what's going to be best for your marriage.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Identify the season you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are we in a season that will make us want to have sex more? Like maybe your kids are out of your house and you're like, wow, now we can have sex way more often than we used to. Or they're in school and you guys work from home. So you can have afternoon delights whenever you want. Or you're in a stressful season or a postpartum season, or, but like identifying that and acknowledging that, like, wow, things have been really tricky. We have not been able to connect as much as we probably would both like. And then the next one would be to make a plan, figuring it out. Okay, what realistically works for us in the season we're in.
Yeah. Yeah. And then check in after, after a month or two, like, hey, how are things going with our schedule? Are you liking the way that this is going? Do we need to change anything? Let's, revisit.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into some stats from you guys. So, as we teased at the beginning, we asked you guys on Instagram 4 questions about your sexual frequency. And
what time of the day did you post that question?
I posted it at like
late in the evening, right?
11 p.m. Pacific.
And at what time did you see about 10,000 responses?
When I woke up this morning, there were well over 10,000 responses. We're at about 20,000 right now.
So this is, I feel like, just shows like how curious and people want to talk about this. Like, this is always like, I can't believe that that's how much responses we got in such a little amount of time.
It's been 15 hours since I posted the first story, and we have, almost 20,000, just like 19,900 responses.
Like, has that been our most response to any questions that we've posted?
We've had one other one. We've had one other one that was bigger, but
what was it?
It was when we were asking like about who you guys are, where you live, like all the questions about you.
Oh, okay.
And it was like, but that was after 24 hours. So after 24 hours, that one was at about 25,000. This one will probably get there. So this will be very close to the top.
Crazy.
So yes, you guys wanted to talk about this. You guys are very curious about it. So here we go. First question. How often do you and your spouse have sex? Very simply. The options were 3+ times per week, 1 to 2 times per week, 1 to 2 times per month, or less than 1 time per month. So 3+ times per week was 19%. 1 to 2 times per week, 54%. 1 to 2 times per month, 20%. Less than 1 time per month, 7%. So 1 to 2 times per 1 to 2 times per week was 54%. So the majority of you guys are having sex more than, or once per week or more, which is pretty much in line with what the research said that we talked about in this episode.
Right.
It's a sweet spot.
Yep. All right. Question number 2. What is the longest amount of time you and your spouse have gone without sex, excluding postpartum, sickness, etc.? So just your regular season of marriage, what's the longest you've gone without sex? The options were 1 to 3 weeks, a month, 2 to 6 months, or 7+ months. So 1 to 3 weeks was 52%. 1 month was 20%. 2 to 6 months was 21%. And 7+ months was 7% of you.
So those are just two there that was really similar, right?
Yeah, 20 and 21. So like 1 to 6 months would be 41%. And then question number 3 was very simply, are you currently happy with the frequency of sex in your marriage? Have you guys looked yet?
I haven't, no.
Okay, what do you think these responses are to this one?
What is it again? Are you satisfied?
Are you currently happy with the frequency of sex in your marriage?
I'm going to say it's like, yes. You go ahead first.
No, I was going to say yes, but I don't know to what. Are we supposed to guess a percentage?
Sure.
56%.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to go, I'm going to say maybe it'll be like 40-60. Where
for which
more will be for no.
So it is 54% yes.
Ha!
Nice.
So the majority are happy with the frequency, but that also means there's still quite a few of you who are not.
Yeah.
Can I just say I was within 2%?
I know. That was a very good guess.
Well done.
Boom.
Very good
I know
guess.
you, audience.
That's right. Okay, and the last one, I added this one kind of late because I was really curious with the first question. We had 73% of you doing it weekly or more. So I wanted to break that down further to see, okay, the weekly or more crew, how often are you guys actually having it? So I put 6+ times per week, 4 to 5 times per week, 2 to 3 times per week, or 1 time per week. What do you guys think won, and what percentage did it win with?
2 to 3% by
2 to 3 times.
Or 2 to 3 times. 41%.
Okay.
I forget the options.
6 plus, 4 to 5, 2 to 3, 1.
I'll say 1. I have to pick a percentage.
Yes.
40%. I don't know.
Tira, what did you say was your percent?
41.
Okay. 2 to 3 times per week was 55%.
Okay.
Nice.
1 time per week was 35%. 4 to 5 times per 4 to 5 times per week was 8%, and 6+ times per week was 2%.
Oh, that's why the person who DM'd was like, the 6% must all be newlyweds.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't understand. Like, I just saw the DM come up, but I didn't see what it was about.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Huh.
So 55% of people who are having sex weekly or more are doing it 2 to 3 times per week.
Cool.
So that's pretty cool. Good for you guys. Good for having frequent sex.
I'd be really curious, like, because these are followers of a sex podcast, like, I'd be curious of followers who, like, not our followers, what responses would be. Like, do we have a higher percentage because people are invested in their sex life, you know, because they're following us and they're seeing things and learning things. And I'd be curious if ours stats are higher.
I would say we skew higher.
Yeah.
I would say instead of 2 to 3 being the norm, I would say we would probably fall back into the 1 time per week norm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it should be, I feel like our followers should have a healthy sex life.
Yeah. And if it's not, then we're glad you're here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
I will pray for us. God, thank you for the gift of sex. Thank you for all the different ways that we can do sex well in our marriages. And thank you that all of us that are doing sex well, none of us are wrong. We're all just different, and that's okay because you have made all of us that way, and you have guided our marriages that way. And for those 46% that are not satisfied with the frequency of sex in their marriage, would you bring humility and grace to those marriages to have proper discussions, helpful, fruitful, loving discussions, so that they can become part of the yes crowd and that they can have a mutually satisfying sex life, which is something that all of us listening desire. So thank you for this gift, and would you help those of us who struggle to see it as a gift to see it as a gift? In your name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Hey friends, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you like our content, please like, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts, and tell your friends too. Thanks so much for journeying with us today as we tackled the hard questions and dive deep into godly intimacy. Make sure you follow us on Instagram to see more of our content, and check the show notes for any links we might have mentioned in today's episode. We're so grateful to be on this journey with you, and we can't wait to see you in the next episode.